Hello everyone, myself Ruchi Patel, working as an assistant professor at LJ College of Physiotherapy. Today I am going to take second year topic that is knee complex. And in the knee complex, we are going to discuss about menisci. As we all know, the knee complex mainly include two joints, tibiofemoral joint and patellofemoral joint. Today here we have to discuss related to the tibiofemoral joint. The articulating surfaces for the tibiofemoral joint are the femoral condyle, which has a convex surface, as well as the tibial plateau, which also contain a convex surfaces. As a result, there will be the incongruency between the two articulating surfaces. So we require the other structures to provide the concave articulating surfaces. So that articulating surface, that is the concave surface, which is provided by the menisci and which makes the joint congruent. So the relative tibiofemoral incongruence is improved by the addition of medial and lateral menisci, which acts to convert the convex tibial plateau into the concavities for the femoral condyles. The menisci are fibrocartilaginous disc with a semicircular shape. So the medial meniscus is the C shape, whereas the lateral meniscus forms the 4/5 of the circle. In this diagram, you all can see that this is the medial meniscus and it is the lateral meniscus. The lateral meniscus covering the larger area compared to the medial meniscus. Again, here you all can see that the menisci are the thicker over the periphery, whereas thinner over the central area. Okay, so and both the menisci are facing towards the intertubercle, tibial intertubercle part. Okay, so both the menisci are getting open towards the tibial tubercle. Okay, and again it has an anterior horn, which is the anterior part of the menisci. In the posterior part, it is called as the posterior menisci. The another thing which you all can see, that is the red part, and this is the light or we can say white part of the menisci. The red part, which is getting the good enough blood through the capillaries, whereas the central part, which is getting the less blood supply. Okay, so the menisci are located on the top of the tibial condyles, covering the one half to two-third of the articulating surfaces of the tibial plateau. Both the menisci are open towards the intercondylar tubercle, as we have already seen in the diagram, and thick periphery and thin centrally. So the lateral menisci covers the greater percentage of the small lateral tibial plateau, whereas the medial menisci, which covers the less articulating surface of the tibial plateau. So as a result, it's a larger exposure surface of the medial condyle, and as that is why the medial condyle are more susceptible to the injuries. Okay, while the compressive load that passes through the medial condyle during the any routine daily activities. So compressive forces in the knee may reach 1 or 2 times of the body weight during the gait, whereas during the stair climbing it will be 3 to 4 times more of the body weight during the running. So whenever we do running activity, the more compressive forces are coming on the joint, whereas compared to running in the walking, there will be the less compressive forces. So the greater a degree of the genu varum for the instances, the greater is the compression on the medial menisci. Okay, so that depends on the degree of the genu varum. The medial menisci have a greater ligamentous and the capsular restraint. So as a result, it will limit the translation, or it limits the movement of the medial menisci compared to the lateral menisci. And as a result, there is a lack of mobility on the medial menisci, and that may contribute to the greater incidence of the injury. So there are, till now we have seen two factors which causes the more compression or more injury to the medial meniscus. One, that is the lack of mobility, because there is a greater support of the ligament and the muscular structures, which provides the proper the tightening of the structures, or which reduces the movement of the medial uh, menisci or the medial side or medial condyle compared to the lateral condyle. And the other, which we know, that is the medial menisci, which covers the less articulating surface of the tibial plateau compared to the lateral menisci. And as a result, whenever the compressive forces are coming on the joint, it may or it damage more to the medial menisci compared to the lateral menisci. So, as we have already discussed, that is the meniscus has a anterior and posterior ends, and it is called as the anterior and posterior horn, and it is firmly attached to the tibia below. Okay, so here you all can see this is the anterior horn, this is the posterior horn, that is the opening of the menisci on both the side, anterior direction and the posterior direction, and it is firmly attached to the tibia. So the menisci has an attachment. Which all attachment? Here in this figure you all can see the transverse ligament. Both the side it is attached to the this transverse ligament. Again, it has an attachment to the ACL, PCL, MCL, and patello-meniscal, meniscofemoral, uh, or patello-meniscal ligament. So here you all can see it has an attachment to the transverse ligament. It has an attachment to the ACL. It has a attachment to the PCL, as well as it has an attachment to the patello-meniscal ligament. Okay, so now we'll see the role of the menisci, allowing the greater contact area between the menisci and the femur. If the femoral condyle sat directly on relatively a flat tibial plateau, there would be a small contact area between the bony surfaces. So, as we all know, the femoral condyles are not coming directly in the contact with the tibial plateau. Just because of the menisci, it increases the articulating surfaces or the contact area. With the addition of the menisci, the contact area at the tibiofemoral joint is increases and joint stresses is reducing. Okay, so here in this diagram you all can see here there is no menisci, so the articulating surface is less, whereas here this darker area is indicating the menisci. So here this arrow is indicating that articulating contact area will get increased. So nutrition to the menisci during the first year of the life. The blood vessels are contained throughout the menisci. So it has a good blood supply. But once the person will start to give weight bearing, once the person will start to give weight on the extremity, the vascularities begins to diminish until only the outer 25 to 33% of the menisci are vascularized by the capillaries from the joint capsules synovial membrane, and the central area which is not getting a proper blood supply. So after the 50 years of the age, only the periphery area will get vascularized, and if it getting damaged, then there is the chances of healing. But in the central area, there is less chances of the healing. Okay, so the central area is totally depends on the movement of the synovial fluid. Through the movement, whenever the movement is occurring, the synovial fluid movement will occur, and that provides the certain nutrition to the central area. Okay, so the process of fluid diffusion to support the nutrition require intermittent loading of the menisci by either weight bearing or by the muscular contraction. So whenever the person is giving weight bearing or person is taking weight on the lower extremity or any kind of activities in which the lower extremity is getting weight, and or during the any contraction, muscular contraction, the central area is getting the blood supply. Okay, so subsequently during the prolonged period of immobilization or condition of non-weight bearing, the menisci will get damaged more and more. It will get less nutrition, and further avascular nature of the central portion of the menisci will reduce the potential of healing. And in the adult, as I said, only the periphery area will get vascularized. So the periphery area has a more chances for the healing compared to the central area. So the horn of the menisci and peripheral vascularized portion of the meniscal body are well innervated by the free nerve endings, that is nociceptors, and the three different mechanoreceptors, Ruffini corpuscles, Pacinian corpuscle, and Golgi tendon organs. Okay, so these are the free nerve endings, and as a result, it has a proprioceptors. It contains this type of mechanoreceptors and proprioceptors, which giving the awareness and which giving or which sending the information or messages to the brain. So this is all about the menisci. It can be asked for the 5 marks in the exam. You all can refer this topic from the JSF, Joint Structure and Function by Cynthia Norkin. Thank you.